guys, how's it going? I decided to come out in my backyard and hang out in my hammock for a little while and make a little coffee, and got me thinking about making a camp coffee video for you guys. If you've watched my channel for very long, you know I drink coffee a lot, and I almost always make coffee in the woods unless I'm just deer hunting. I'll drink it in the morning. I'll even drink it midday or afternoon if I am got a long hike coming back out. So I've experimented with several different ways of making coffee. I'll show you those ways, and then I will show you what I'm doing now and moving forward until something else catches my eye. Stick with me. All right guys, let's start with probably the simplest, the one everybody probably thinks off right off the bat, and that's just instant coffee. You can buy it in jars. You can buy it in these little packs. My favorite is the Black Rifles, but you can get folders. You can get Starbucks Vias. A lot of people like those, and there's several brands that people truly like. It's just a quick, ultralight way. Just bring something to heat up some water in, put this in it, and you're good to go. Sometimes it's not strong enough for me. It has a little bit of a taste, so it's not my favorite way, but I've done it several times even on my channel, and it just gets me by, and it's probably the method that I've used the longest. So next would be Cowboy coffee. You just take you a mug, a container, canteen cup, something like this. You put your water in, heat it up to a boil, put your coffee grounds in however much you feel like you need, let that go for a second, pull it off, and then you put a little bit of cold water in on top to make the grounds sink down to the bottom, and you just have to drink it. You're still going to get grounds, but you just drink it that way, and a lot of people really love that method. It is definitely not my favorite. I'm not a super big fan of getting a lot of coffee grounds in my coffee, but it works, and it's bulletproof. So it's something to keep in mind. If you've never done that, you should try it at least once. If you have, then you either love it or hate it, or I'm kind of in between on it. It's definitely not my favorite, but moving on. My next and one of my absolute all-time favorite ways of making coffee has been this GSI pour over. It's got little plastic clip-on legs and a real fine mesh. I've put this in a ton of my videos just because it's what I take. I have a GSI coffee mug that I've used a ton. That thing has been through it. And what you do is you just clip these legs onto your mug. This is a little Tokes titanium mug. I've had this for a really long time too. This is probably the second oldest cook pot slash mug that I currently own. I've had this thing for, I don't know, probably pushing almost 10 years, at least 8 for sure. You just put your coffee grounds in here, and then you pour boiling water over your grounds. It'll slip in, and at the end of this clip I will add in a video of me doing just that, making some, and if you've watched my channel, you've definitely seen me do it. My only issue with this way of making coffee is I have to have something to catch the coffee in, some sort of mug or pot, and something to heat water up in. So I'm having to carry 2 different containers just for the coffee. Outside of cooking, unless I'm just boiling water, putting in a mountain house, which case that'd be the time when I would have that GSI mug. I would boil water in this and pour it over, or my canteen cup, something like that. But that, that's kind of the reason I ended up with that GSI mug, so I'd have something I could boil water in for, say, oatmeal or a mountain house, and then also pour some of it into that over this to go into the GSI mug. So that's my only issue, and you're going to see that theme running through this whole thing. All right, next guys, this is probably the longest coffee thing I've owned. when I decided that I wanted something different than this instant or Cowboy coffee, this is the first thing I picked up. It's a GSI French press mug. So everybody knows what a French press is, but I'll show you. Just take the lid off, and what I found is it's actually easier to open it like this and pull this out first. But basically, you put your coffee grounds down in here, you boil water, then you put the water in here, and then you put this on, you let it steep for a few minutes, and then you push this down, and the coffee coming out of here is excellent. It's great. But GSI pour over and this make really good coffee, especially if you've got fresh ground coffee beans, either ground yourself or before you went out or there. It's great. I love it. Same problems as the GSI as far as you have to have something to boil the water in and do this. So it's more stuff to take. Also, one of the reasons I got away from using this a lot is if it's not extremely cold outside, this thing will hold hot coffee for a very long time. So if you get up in the morning before a hunt or a hike where you're hiking for a day or two and you make coffee in this, you're not going to be able to drink it with your meal unless you break down all of camp, you spend a ton of time. You have to make coffee in this quite a significant amount of time before you can drink it. Now you can add cold water to this, and I've done that. The issue with that is it starts to water down your coffee. So you have to make very strong coffee so that you're not overly watering down your coffee, just to cool it down. And it does, come apart easy for cleaning. You can store extra coffee in here, all the jazz, but it just holds that coffee and makes it hot for a long time. All right. So my next is another pour over. I have it inside this GSI mug, and I'll get to that in a second. So, and it is this GSI Rocket pour over. It just goes on like this. It's plastic, but it's got metal screens down at the bottom, which I didn't clean it super well since the last time I used it, but it's got a little metal filter down in there, which I like. You sit there on this on here like this. You take your mug, which this doesn't come with it. This is a GSI mug, but I bought it with it, trying to make a complete kit. But this will fit on lots of different size mugs, and you just put this on here like this. You pour your boiling water over, and just like any pour over, you get your coffee in the bottom. So let me talk about the mug real quick and why I don't use it like that as much. This thing's kind of slow, whereas that mesh one gets your coffee through it pretty quick based on how coarse or fine your coffee's ground. And it still makes really good coffee, but it's not sitting there forever. This, it tends to let the coffee get a little cold going into the mug. But with that being said, this mug, just like that French press, it holds the heat forever. If you get this coffee into this mug hot, it's going to be hot for a long time. Now, the mug is good for a lot of things. It's got measurements on it, so that you can, measure while you're cooking or do different things. So that's handy, and it works well. The whole kit breaks down and fits inside this mug. But if you put hot water in here, it's going to be there for a long time. An hour in some cases for me, and it works, but I find myself not using it a ton because of that in this configuration. One thing I have done to mitigate that is just this Tokes pot combo with that instead of the GSI, and it'll work. It'll fit on there just like that, and that works. The one major downside to just doing that is that you still have to have something separate to heat up your water, period. So now you're still carrying 2 containers, which is fine, but if you're trying to really pack a minimalist kit, that's more bulk and more weight depending on what you're trying to do. But if you don't care, it works. It works, and I've used it like that a lot. I mean, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you can tell this pot's been in everything from the fire to alcohol stoves to butane stoves, it's been on a lot of stuff. So that does work. That's the GSI, I think it's coffee rocket something, pour over, and it works okay. I find this is one of my least used options, actually, just because, I don't know, it never seems to work quite right for me, but it does work. All right, guys, one of my newest methods is the tea infuser, actually. And there's a brand that makes something similar to this, but it's got plastic, and it works a little different. But this is just a simple metal stainless steel tea infuser, and I got this off Amazon. I think I got a 3-pack for like $6. And the reason is how much I'm carrying my stainless steel canteen cup. This is very, very lightweight, and what it allows is I can just stick this in, open it up like this, it squeezes, stick this into a bag or whatever. I've got a container of coffee, stick this on the bowl, one container, stick this on the bowl. Once it gets hot and it starts to boil, I can literally just drop this in like that and let that steep and cook till it's good. Pull this out. Now I have a cup of coffee, one container in my canteen cup, and the bulk of my grounds are still in this. Now, a lot of grounds are still getting out. So it's like making Cowboy coffee, but with less grounds. You still have to let it cool. You could still add just a little bit of water to it if you wanted to sink any remaining grounds down to the bottom. And it works. Haven't used it a ton yet. I'm gonna really probably put it through its paces soon, but it works. And there's, like I said, I can't remember the name of it right now. There's a company making something just for this that kind of opens to the side, I believe. But again, it's plastic and it's bigger and more bulky and more expensive. Now, I do want to try that because it might just work so much better that it'd be worth it. But for the canteen cup or a single pot set, I mean, that works great, right? You could boil, like say you're doing Mountain House meal, you could boil the amount you need for coffee and the amount for the Mountain House meal in here, pour in your Mountain House meal while that's cooking or steep or whatever, drop this in, put it back on the heat, make your coffee, or even just drop it in and let it off the side to cool. It would still swish it around, it would still make your coffee. It works. It's just something I'm experimenting with right now, and I'm sure eventually it'll be on video of me doing it, and I'll tell you more what I think then about the viability versus the other options. But for the weight, it's worth it. All right, guys, so now I have the final product for what I'm testing out and what I am going to make coffee with now on video, so you guys can just see it, how it works. I've made coffee with it once before, and I liked it, so I'm going to do it again today, see how it goes. Now this bag is irrelevant. I made this bag just to keep the kit all together. That is, I'm gonna pull it all out here. This is a Pathfinder Self-Reliance Outfitter cup. This is a new product they've come out with not too long ago. I got it right after it came out. I haven't seen a lot of videos on it or anything like that. But basically, you got a lid and you've got this mesh basket. And the way it works is, it's a 25-ounce mug. It's got some measurements on the inside. The way it works is, fill it up with water, put that in, and then put your coffee in here, and it's almost like a percolator in a way. And I've used big percolators. I'm not a big fan of percolator coffee, but it's almost like that. And then it comes with this lid, just a solid lid. Put that on, you're good to go. It fits over, it works. And you can actually buy, if you've already got the mug, you can buy just this kit for cheaper. I bought the whole thing together, And one of the reasons for that is it comes with the normal lid for the cup that's got drain holes here. Fits a little different. And you can put that on, and now you just have a cook pot. So if you wanted a lightweight cook pot to take with you for something that's stainless steel, if you didn't have titanium, which to me this is just slightly heavier than the titanium, it's not much. It works, so I can use it for that. And this lid don't fall off, this regular lid, so it sticks on there pretty good, and I like that. I like that. So I just went ahead and bought the whole kit. But you need a different lid with the lip on it for this strainer. Now I like this for one pot coffee. You know, you don't have to have 2 containers. You can make coffee in one. You could do hard boiled eggs and coffee in this, because you could put your water in here, put your eggs in here to boil. You know, 1 or 2 eggs would work, and then do coffee at the same time, and then fish your eggs out with a spoon or fork. That'll work. The only issue so far, and you know, again, I'm going to make some coffee again today with it, is this mesh to me is a little too wide. I think it should be finer mesh, because the first time I made it, I did get a little bit of grounds in my coffee, more than I would like, but it was still good coffee. Certainly a lot less than had I made Cowboy coffee, for sure. Now, the one thing is, say I carry my canteen cup and this, then I can heat up some meals, you know, whatever, cook something up in the canteen cup, and then run this just for coffee. Same thing if I brought my frying pan, but if I brought my frying pan and my canteen cup, which is almost always with me, I might choose a different option. But I'm testing this out to see how much I like it, and so far, I mean, it works. Let's go down to the ground. I'm gonna go ahead and make some coffee, and you guys can see it work. One thing I'll say before that is that I'm thinking about getting another separate alcohol stove with a stand to go in here with this, just simply for its own standalone coffee kit. That way everything's in here, just as this is my coffee kit, depending on how much I like it. So let's go to the ground and make some coffee. All right, guys. Once again, before I get started, 2 things. I am in my backyard today, so I apologize for any excessive noise. Someone just decided to start shooting. And also, again, this bag that this Pathfinder cup comes in doesn't come with it. I don't know if they have something in their own version. I made this for myself. I tend to do that if something don't come with that. But let's get started real quick. Grab my alcohol stove like this. Go ahead and lay this over here. Go ahead and now with this, I have found early on that you do have to fill it up to at least 16 ounces. It makes it harder to make coffee, it seems like, if you don't. So this makes a pretty good sized cup of coffee. You can fill it up to probably the bottom of the screen, which would be almost 20 ounces. So it makes a large cup. And the positive of that is, you know, if you're drinking, you know, a large cup of coffee like that, that's great. But also, if you're with somebody, say you are through hiking or whatever, one of you carries, you know, something to cook in, one of you carries this, you can make enough coffee for 2 people here. Or maybe you're just with a friend, one of your kids, older kids that didn't bring enough gear. I find myself a lot of times being the guy that has the most gear with him, and so you can share coffee. So that's definitely an upside. Go ahead and put that over the stove right there. Get it on there real good. All right. We'll put this on like that. Add our mesh screen just like that. Now, one thing I will say about this is it seems easy to clean up. You know, you've got those coffee grounds in there. You can wash it out in a creek really easy and just rinse it off. You can, I mean, pour water over it. It seems to be pretty easy. So another brand I like, pretty good for regular coffee. is this Cafe Bustiello, if I'm saying that correctly. And I'll just put one of these big spoons of coffee grounds on here. I don't think I need any more than that. Spread it out just a little bit in there. Just like that. Set that there. And then we'll take the lid and put it on, and now we wait. See how long it takes. All right, let's open our pot up here and see what we got going on. You can see it starting to work down in there. I like to see it actually start bubbling up a little bit, but it hadn't quite started doing that yet. Now I only put 16 ounces. Really, this thing works best if you fill it up all the way to the bottom of the screen, from what I can tell. But it's still working and it's still making coffee. We're going to give it a couple more minutes, see how it goes. It has been, check my old Garmin here, it's 12:16, so that means it's been almost 15 minutes on this alcohol stove. Now I'm sure if I'd stuck this directly over some coals and a fire or something like that, it'd be a lot quicker, but that's what we're looking at. So give it a couple more minutes, and it is slightly windy out here, and then I'll probably go ahead and pull it. All right, let's check it again. It's been about 18 minutes. Yeah, there we go. That's how it's supposed to look right there. Now you see how it's boiling down, and there's a lot less grounds. That means there's probably a lot more grounds down in there. I'm going to experiment some with pulling it earlier than that when it's kind of mushy like it was earlier, but we're going to try it like it is now. I'm going to go ahead and pull it off. All right, guys, I think that took about 18 minutes. Well, the time I pulled it, most of the grounds were down through the mesh into the water, and I may be leaving it on just a little too long. What I may experiment the next time I do it with is, once it gets good and mushy and there's water bringing it down, is pull it and seeing if maybe that's the right consistency to get a good coffee without too many grounds. The only concern with that would be that it would be a little bit too watered down for me, because I like strong coffee. But I'm gonna let this cool for a minute and then see how it goes. Now, it did take, to get to that point, probably close to 18 minutes on an alcohol stove on that. And that's a little windy today, but you know, I'm using my alcohol, or my my stove for my canteen cup. Now, if I put that directly over some hot coals, it would have probably went a lot faster. Also, one of those little butane stoves, you could even do that. You could put one of those small canisters in there with a little stove, and it would go a lot faster. I'm sure it would probably, I mean, 3-4 minutes and you'd be good to go. But I like using the alcohol stoves. I like using the wood stoves. The issue with that is, if it takes longer, that does cost you to burn more fuel and take more time. Now, if you just got a campfire, stick it up the campfire, go about your business, you're good to go, or anything else. Or if you were, you know, like I said, you had the little butane stove. The alcohol stove, it seems to take a little longer than it actually even does in my canteen cup. Not drastically longer, but it does seem to take a little bit. I would have to run some time experiments on that. I could be mistaken, because I believe my canteen cup actually will hold more water. But and I may do that in future videos. If y'all want me to do that, drop it in the comments. Time it on the canteen, same amount of water on the canteen cup versus this cup, just to see if that's the case. Not necessarily, I guess you would say, how long it would take to bring that to a boil for a couple minutes versus how long it takes to get this up to the point that I just did. Just something to think about. Meanwhile, I'm gonna let this cool a little bit longer. I'll tell you, what I think about it. Closing costs. I'm gonna kick back in my hammock here. I've got it all closed up. This is a new hammock for me. I've previously used a Hennessy hammock for camping, and I've got another one that I use just to chill out in. That's not really set up for camping, but this will probably be in some future videos for sure. And I'm testing it now. This one, and I have another one that I want to test. I want to buy and test coming later this year that I'm really interested in. Loving this one so far. I've got most of the system. I'm wanting to buy the rest of the system, at least by early this year. But I'm really enjoying this one so far, and I will talk about this in its own video. So stick around, and I'll give you my closing thoughts on this coffee once it cools down enough to drink.